the Mullah regime has very much leveraged the what's known as the cost and or production exchange ratio. You're very correct when you identified like a Patriot 3 missile cost you like $3,200,000. I think the last I looked. I don't know what it is today, right? Versus say a what's the average ballistic missile that the Mullah regime is now using? It's about 200 grand a shot. And then you're not even taking into account cluster munitions and all this other stuff that they're using to increase the amount of incoming threats, right? So they're trying to bleed you out of interceptors. They're trying to bleed you out both economically
Right.
and militarily, right?
Right.
So, Ukrainians, Zelensky and the rest of them actually played a role in this. We should be reaching out to Ukrainians because they're very good at things like defensive weaponized drone swarms
Right.
and or directed energy based defensive architectures like the Trizub, which is very much their version of Dragonfire. That's already in play, like not the least of which is President Trump very much wholeheartedly took and was very thankful for Ukraine, particularly President Zelensky offering Ukrainians expertise in leveraging defensive weaponized drone storms to take down Shaheds because a Shahed's like 20 grand. Still, it's like $3 million for a Patriot missile versus $20,000 Shahed.
Right.
And we're currently making sure to deploy what is called the Laser Viper, which is an
Right.
advanced version of the Cobra with like a 20 or 100 kilowatt laser to shoot down bomblets. We're already in
Right.
the process of fielding them, brother.
Thank
That's a
you.
fucking super cool question. Well done.
Okay. So my understanding though was that Mr. President Trump wasn't super like wasn't jumping all over it. That's not true. Okay. So
We
I guess
got
that
like
was
literally
mis-
Ukraine sent its three best defensive like drone experts in the Middle East. They're already doing it.
okay, great.
Totally true.
I didn't realize that. Thank you.
But by the way, before we go to the next person, I just want to mention that we are going to be adding a third segment to our discussions, which is for VIP members. But the original people here, like you guys that are here, you are already been made to VIP, so you will have access to our VIP calls. But soon we will have standard open calls for everyone, premium calls for premium members, and then VIP will be added soon. But everybody here, because you are the OG people, you're all VIP, so we will have access to those calls as well.
Okay, next I have Samantha.
Sorry, happy Nowruz. How do you say it in like Persian?
Noruz Piruz. So
Nowruz,
so a lot of
Nowruz.
people Noruz Piruz to you as well. So a lot of people might say Noruz Mubarak, but again, because we're trying to avoid Arabic words, when you see people saying Noruz Khojastebaz or Noruz Piruz, is because they're trying to avoid the Arabic word Mubarak. Some people still say Noruz Mubarak or Eid Mubarak, but that's the reason why some people avoid it, because they're trying to focus on Persian words rather than Arabic words. But
Yeah. So I've been hearing people claiming that like what's it called? Bibi like begged the Islamic Republic that like he'd stop attacking their oil refineries if the Islamic Republic stopped attacking others. And the Islamic Republic was like, no. And like people are saying that like I don't know that it means like the Islamic Republic isn't that like America and Israel are losing. And now like what do you say to those people?
okay, so I think that there's a good cop bad cop play here right now, and Israel and United States. This might be true. I don't know 100%, but Jeffrey might want to add to that as well. I think Israel is playing the bad cop, and United States is playing the good cop, and I think that United States need to be concerned about Qatar, because Qatar has a lot of influence on United States, and President Trump doesn't want to really piss them off too much. But Israel is attacking certain sites you know when it comes to the energy infrastructure of the Islamic Republic. They're testing to see how the Islamic Republic behaves. Like so far, the way that they attacked it, it hasn't caused any disruption in the supply chain. It has caused prices to go up, and it has caused shortages, but the supply chain is still there. So the targeting has been very minimum. But I do think, like, it's hard. I don't know if you saw, but President Trump came out and posted that, oh, this had nothing to do with us. We didn't know they're going to do this, and I'm going to ask Israel to stop them right now. Again, this might be this. I might be wrong about this, and Jeffrey could clarify this. I have a hard time believing that Israelis are not coordinating with Americans when it comes to an attack that's significant. Like, that is a very significant attack, and I don't think it was like, oh, it was United States, like, oh, we didn't know we are gonna do this. It's really hard for me to believe that that was not, like, especially when it comes to these types of operation. There's a lot of communication going on between them right now. I think Israel has accepted United States sometimes coming out and saying, taking these positions against Israel time to time, just to save face in front of the Qataris. You're like, ah, that's nothing to do with us. It was them, right? And stop them. And also, I think by doing this, without United States being made it look to look guilty, you're going to get these Arab countries around the Persian Gulf to start contributing in the war, in the military operations against the Islamic Republic. That's what President Trump is trying to do, is to create like a coalition of multiple countries. They're trying to get the Europeans involved, trying to get the Koreans involved, the Japanese involved, but also the Arab countries around the Persian Gulf, by showing to them that this is not really hurting America as much as, like, yeah, like, it stings a little bit, but you guys are actually paying like, why do you? This is about creating a norm for what's about to come eventually when with China, right? Because a lot of the world has it's becoming the norm for people, like, oh, come clean up the mess, Israel, come clean up the mess, United States. Like, we'll just sit back and we just enjoy our free healthcare, our free education, and all of this welfare, because we get to save money, because Israel and United States are doing the dirty job that we do not do, right? Like, let them care of the global security. I mean, Germany literally said, Chancellor Mercer said, like, Israel is doing the dirty job that the rest of the world refuses to do. So this is not ideal, especially if the rest of the world at some point needs to have to respond to China. Getting used to the idea that Israel and America are just, and eventually with China, Israel is not going to be involved in that at all, right? It's going to be just United States. Well, not at all, but not as much, at least. I mean, it's very hypocritical that they keep asking United States to help them with Russia all the time. Like, oh, this is a global threat, help us with Russia. But then they're nowhere to be seen. So, like, the Arab countries always ask United States to come help them with Iran. European countries ask United States to come help them when it comes to Russia, but they're nowhere to be seen when United States needs, like, okay, where are you guys when it comes to China? Like, they're absent. So I think this is a practice for us to show that the era of leeching off of US military and taking advantage of Israel's readiness to actually respond to this is over. So some of these attacks might be strategic way to actually hurt, to actually make these Arab countries be like, okay, this is painful. Like, what the hell? Like, we can't, it's taking too long. Europeans are hurting a lot because of gas prices. These Arab countries are hurting a lot. I mean, I don't even know if Dubai, I mean, don't bet against Dubai, because people bet against Dubai during the COVID, and Dubai had a bounce back at some point eventually. But this is not good for the image of the UAE and their entire business model, for example, with Dubai. Qatar thought, like, because I have a good relationship with the Islamic Republic, I'm going to be spared. Well, no, not but that didn't happen. So I think that, a lot of people are saying, like, oh, Trump is losing because oil prices are increasing. First of all, oil prices are not increasing nearly as much as people assumed when the Islamic Republic is trying to, like, close the Strait of Hormuz. Like, people were expecting immediately for things to hit $200. It's actually remarkable that even to this point we haven't yet hit $120. That is remarkable that we will have this scale of a military operation in the Persian Gulf, and the oil prices have, like, Brent crude has not yet hit 120. That is like that's almost a miracle. But at the same time, I don't think that it might be true that President Trump doesn't mind, oil prices. I mean, it's not good for elections in the United States, but it seems like President Trump has a bigger plan in mind rather than just winning elections. It seems like he's concerned about, he wants to do certain things that fixes the world in a way that it doesn't really matter who becomes elected next, that we fix certain problems that would not rely on us hoping for the correct president in the White House for them to get fixed next time. Like that, he's focused mostly on that. So he's like a little bit less worried about his popularity numbers or election results. He wants to just make sure that he gets this done 100%. And I
Mm.
think that's required. Oil prices going up might reduce his popularity to some extent, but big is other than, it's also helping him with getting the rest of the world involved, not necessarily because they need their military contribution as much for these military operations to succeed, but mostly because of the long-term consequences of basically signaling to the world that the era of leeching off of America is over. So I don't want to see what Jeffrey thinks about all of this.
No, you're not wrong on a lot of the things that you mentioned. You're spot on. So like President Trump, very much his motive is to set it up, given where we're at, so that we have the best chance at minimizing the probability of a high intensity world war, which is very low. And barring that, should or if or when it happened, blunt the damage when it happens. Yeah. He very much wants to set it up so the world is in the best, safest spot it could be, with understandably a focus on U.S. interest because he's the president of the United States. Amazingly, so with regards to the oil, and then I'll touch on the Israeli-U.S. thing. So we wouldn't even have to worry about oil. Like the United States, I played a role in writing a policy. This was actually given to Ukraine, like to people, and drumming up unconventional oil and natural gas in both Poland and Ukraine after Putin's illegal annexation of Crimea. There's a couple of key revolution disruptive technologies that, if they're combined, it would turn the United States into the Saudi Arabia of the world, and we could, with just unconventional oil, provide the entire world's consumption of oil for 56 years at a price point lower than it costs the House of Saud or anybody else to pull it out of the ground, and still maintain a 50% profit margin while reducing global greenhouse gas emissions by 50%. The people who fuck that up, some people on the Republican side, and Hunter Biden, who in part stole mine and some other people's work. I mean, like he doesn't understand shit, right? He doesn't understand geopolitics or anything like that. Just throwing that out there, right? We wouldn't even have to worry about oil issues if U.S. production of oil and natural gas wasn't destroyed by, or at least undermined and hampered by, say, previous Democratic administrations. As far as like the divergence between the focus on different target sets inside Iran, it's true they definitely coordinate with each other. That said, it's also like conflict is chaotic and nobody's 100%. And you may have two people that look at different things and see, and come to a different conclusion, even though their goal is to eliminate the Mullah regime with the least amount of blood and treasure for both their respective nations, and more, and as well as Iranian people on the ground. So like we're like, President Trump's like, he doesn't want to strike oil energy, not because he doesn't, there's certain elements within the oil and energy sector inside Iran he's hesitant to strike, because his main goal is to deny the Mullah regime oil revenue so it can sustain itself, or bribe people like dark sea fleets coming out of the Strait of Hormuz and giving oil to fucking China. Like one of the things I'll be sending up is, we should just take Mullah oil tankers wholesale and just be like, you know what? No one's going to stop us, and you're not going to play this bullshit game. And what we're going to do is we'll sell that on the free market, and that will sit there and lower the price point. We have a couple 100 million barrels of oil there, and that's going to be put into escrow for Iranian people when you fuckers are dead. How you like them apples? That's one idea I have. In any case, his main focus is while he wants to deny the Mullah regime that energy lever, he also wants to ensure he wants to do so in a manner that leaves as much of the infrastructure there as possible for Iranian people. Because he means that. He doesn't want to leave, if at all possible, he wants to leave as much of that for the Iranian people as possible. The Mullah regime probably is not going to allow that because they're evil douchebags that will burn everything to the fucking ground. I mean, that's their stated policy. You just had that discussion with the person you interviewed on the Persian channel, right? He said they're willing to kill billions of people, burn everything to the ground. Donald's doing his best to make sure that that doesn't happen. Maybe Israeli defense forces are like, well, they want to maximize the short-term disruption to, accelerate Mullah decline and or being eliminated and thereby minimize the harm to Iranian people that way. So you have two people sitting there looking at this problem. I mean, I can't say for certain. I mean, you're not wrong. I'm saying this also could be another contributing factor, right? They're like, here's this problem. We want to have these goals: eliminate the Mullah regime, minimize cost for us and Iranian people. And then they come to different conclusions based on how they're looking at it. Sometimes that may mean that allies do things that are not in unison with each other. It doesn't mean that they're not aligned with each other. It just means that they're attacking a problem from a different direction. Could be that too. Either way, the point is very clear amongst the United States and Israeli military and respective governments and respective militaries. The goal is to punish the Mullah regime, not the Iranian people. And there's no doubt that there is ungodly levels of restraint in how that force is applied with that in mind.
And I feel like the only way to deal with people who have luxury beliefs is to make them have to pay the cost of their luxury beliefs. So, like, I don't know how to say this, but I don't see anything in this war that is affecting Europe in such a way that it's going to make Europe want to change behavior. If that, because it feels like you were trying to imply things were being done that way.